love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. How you doing, family? This is your brother Alonzo here for our first installment of ALO Creative, the first post of a blog that's going to be designed to kind of walk you through some design techniques, right? And talk about some contemporary design that we see in our world today, and also solicit other designers out there to post some of their techniques and what they use to create their beautiful imagery. And today, for our first installation, we're going to be talking about Photoshop. That's right, I said it, Photoshop. So Photoshop is, for those that don't know, is a professional stage editing application, photo editing application that really deals with raster images, but also vector files, right? So for some of the designers out there who hear this language and may not understand it, but take your time and research a raster, R-A-S-T-E-R, versus vector, V-E-C-T-O-R, right? So Photoshop, being a native raster photo manipulation or editing program, a lot of the times we use it for a various amount of projects that I use it for, but primarily it's used for photos, right? And today we're going to talk about cutting out a subject or a person from a photo, right? Now, Photoshop has come a long way with this particular tool, and it's almost as simple as clicking a button today with removing the background from an image that you would like to extract the subject or person out of. So today we're gonna walk through that real quick. So bear with me, let's go, right? Fire. First installation, ALO Creative, let's go. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see what we got here. All right, boom. I'm doing the desktop here. I'm gonna share that, right? Boom. All right, so now what y'all seeing is the image before you, which is a nice, beautiful young sister here, and we're going to remove her from the background, right? Again, now we see that she has some fuzzy or frizzy hair that sometimes in Photoshop's past, additions may have been more of a challenge to try to extract, right? But let's go right now. Let's show what we're doing here, right? So what you're seeing is a canvas area here of Photoshop. I'm gonna move my picture down some here. Now, cool. So here we have the layer panel. Now, all of this stuff, it's a lot going on, right? You see all these tools over here on the left pane here, which maybe sooner or later through the blog, we'll get to those tools. Stick with me, we'll get there. But today, we're gonna focus on this top toolbar here, where we can almost by one click extract this person from this photo. Y'all don't believe me? Stay tuned, watch this. Now, I'm gonna come up here to where we say select, right? Now, make sure that in my layers panel, I have this particular image selected, right? So I'm here, I'm selecting this image. There's only kind of like this other layer here. So I'm just making sure my cursor is there and I'm having that selected, right? Now I'm gonna just come up here to select, right? So select is to select things from your canvas area, right? So boom, I'm gonna select. Now, this edition of Photoshop, I'm using Photoshop Creative Suite, right? And this might be edition 20, if I'm not mistaken. But this particular feature, I think, came out maybe three editions ago. So maybe if you have Photoshop CSS, maybe 18 to 19, you probably still have this there, right? So let me just show you why, if you don't have it, it's almost imperative that you upgrade, right? So now here, I'm just gonna basically select subject, right? Now, watch how smart Photoshop is. When I select subject, what happens? It's gonna analyze the image that we have on the canvas area and automatically try to define the outlines of the subject. And most of the time, 95% of the chance of the time, it does a wonderful job. Like what you see here. Look at this. She selected here, they got the arms, they went between here, they went between this arm here, and you can see these marching ants, as we like to call the outline here, around our subject. And looks pretty good. And again, now what you want to have is an image that has high contrast, right? Like between the subject and the foreground, or sorry, the background image here. So our subject here in the foreground and the background here. So if there's a high level of contrast, meaning like difference in color, your selections usually will be really, really good, right? So now that I have this subject selected, right, by just going to select and subject, now I want to modify this selection, right? So I'm going to come here. Now I can do that with just this modify tool, expand it, contract it, but then we won't really get to see a preview of what's going on right before we do it. But if we go to select and mask, watch this. Now, select and mask, what it did was it says here, by this view mode here, and you'll see we're now in the select and mask module, right? Just by hitting select and mask. Here it's saying, hey, what kind of preview do you want to see, right? Do you want to see like a faded background of what you just selected? Do you want to see the marching ants like before with just the subject select option, right? In this module, do you want to see an overlay of what your selection would be as it in regards to the background, right? Like, do you want to see that? Do you want to see it on black, a darkened background? Do you want to see it on a lightened background, right? Do you want to see your selection cut out against the black background, right? Now on layers is the last option, and that's kind of like where we really want to finally end up, is transparent background with our image just extracted, right? That we selected. So I'll choose that. Now, this is telling me, hey, this is where your images is gonna look based on just that selection. Now, mind you, I did no modification, right? So if I come out of here, I could smooth the edges, right? Feather the edges a little. I can add a little contrast here to make sure my edges are sharper, right, than they may have come across, right, with just the regular selection. And I can shift the edge in or out, meaning from my selection, I'm just going to make it a little tighter. So maybe I got a little bit of the background in it and I want to make it a little tighter. I'm just going to extract that. So that way, shifting this slider to the left makes my outline a little bit insulated, so where now I'm shifting the edge inside, right? So I've just done that. Boom. We're done. Now look at this image. So I'm gonna just say, hey, I want this new selection to wind up on a new layer, right? Click that new layer here in the output to new layer, click OK, and voila. Wait a minute. We have this option or this subject now selected from the background. Now, if I turn this background layer back on, you'll see now that she is playing nice, and this area, which she is a part of the image, and this one when she's not. Now that I have this extracted, I can do other effects. I can add a drop shadow or whatever of how I want to play around with the image here. And it was done so uniquely, not even wasting a lot of time. So just wanted to show you that. So that's the cutout tool, real quick, real raw, right? We just went over it and didn't do it in many details. But again, this is the first post of ALO Creative blog, and I wish you a beautiful day, a beautiful night, and you tune in again. So we're gonna keep going through this, right? So walk with me. It's your brother Alonzo signing out. Peace and love. Talk to you soon.